Welcome to BTX. If you've ever felt like you're on the outside looking in on this huge, unfolding conversation about AI and ChatGPT, you are in exactly the right place. In this explainer, we're going to cut right through the confusing jargon and give you the solid foundation you need to not just understand this technology, but to feel truly confident using it. Let's dive right in.
So by the time we're done here, you're going to have a crystal clear mental map of the whole AI landscape and know exactly where ChatGPT fits. We're also going to explore the massive, game-changing shift that is generative AI. And most importantly, you'll discover the single most crucial skill for unlocking its real power. And spoiler alert, it's probably not what you think, and it's going to completely change how you see this technology.
Look, if you've ever felt just totally lost in this alphabet soup of AI, LLMs, machine learning, trust me, you are not alone. It is a confusing landscape out there. But don't worry, we're about to hand you a map. So let's start with that big picture view.
You know, to really get a handle on any new technology, you absolutely need a mental map. So in this first section, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to build one together so you can finally see how all these different pieces actually connect.
Okay, so take a look at this. This is how we're going to organize all that jargon into something that actually makes sense. Right up at the very top, you've got artificial intelligence. Just think of this as the biggest, broadest category possible. It covers any system that's designed to do tasks that would normally need a human's intelligence.
So if there's one thing you remember from this section, make it this. AI is the big umbrella. Everything else we're going to talk about, machine learning, generative AI, ChatGPT itself, it all tucks neatly right underneath it. Just getting this one idea straight is going to clear up so much confusion right off the bat.
So let's quickly walk through these layers one by one. Under that big AI umbrella, you have machine learning. This is where systems actually learn from data instead of having to be programmed for every single thing. A smaller piece of that is deep learning, which just uses more complex brain-like structures. And then we get to the really exciting part for us today, generative AI, which is all about creating new things. And nestled right inside that is ChatGPT, which is a specific tool in that generative AI family.
You know, for years, AI was kind of this silent partner in our lives, working away in the background. But then, not too long ago, something huge happened. Something that blew it up and put it on the front page of every newspaper. And that big change? It was the generative shift. See, for the longest time, the AI you interacted with was what we call predictive AI. Think about it. Your spam filter, the movie recommendations you get, that's all predictive AI, doing its thing quietly in the background. But generative AI, whoa, it's a completely different ballgame. Its entire job is to create new stuff, to draft things, to design, to pull ideas together. It's not in the background anymore. It's an active partner, just waiting for you to tell it what to do.
So what kind of stuff are we talking about? Well, a whole range of things. Text, obviously, but also images, computer code, audio, you name it. But here's the real magic. Generative AI just demolishes that intimidating distance between a blank page and your first draft. You have an idea, and bam, in seconds you have a real tangible starting point to work with.
Okay, so what if you had to explain this to a friend at a coffee shop? How would you do it? Here's the simple, easy way to think about it. Just tell them, generative AI is like having a super fast, super creative assistant. An assistant that can explain complicated stuff, draft your emails, summarize long reports. Basically, it can create a first version of almost any piece of work you can think of.
Okay, so that's the easy, intuitive way to get it, and it's a great way to think about it. But to really trust this technology and understand what it's doing, it helps to have a definition that's just a little more accurate. And don't worry, I promise we'll keep it simple.
So here's the slightly more technical take. These generative AI models get trained on just massive amounts of data. And from all that data, they learn patterns. Then they use what they learned about those patterns to create brand new stuff, all based on the prompts you give them. So yeah, the creative assistant idea is awesome for remembering the concept. But this definition, this is what helps you build real trust, because you actually understand what's going on under the hood.
All right, so quick recap. We've got our map of the AI landscape. We understand this huge generative shift. So now let's zoom all the way in on the one tool that really kicked off this whole global conversation. What is ChatGPT really?
When you strip everything else away, ChatGPT is a conversational AI system. It's designed to have a back and forth with you. It runs on this really powerful tech called a large language model, or LLM. And yeah, we'll unpack that in just a minute. But its whole job is to take your instructions and give you back useful text. It could be an explanation, a summary, heck, it could even be a poem.
But this is the key to why it feels so different from any other software you've used. It's not some one-shot tool where you ask a question and get a single answer. No, this is a tool that you can refine with. It's that back and forth, that give and take. That's where the real magic happens.
Here's a good way to think about it. A search engine, like Google, is amazing at finding information that's already out there on the web. ChatGPT is different. It's built for collaboration. It's a creative partner. You give it a prompt, it spits out a first draft. Then you jump in with your feedback. You can say, hey, make that simpler, or change the tone to be more professional, or reformat that as bullet points. It's this constant loop that makes it feel like you're working with it, not just using it.
So what's the engine driving this whole conversational experience? You've probably seen the acronym LLM thrown around a lot, so let's actually break down what a large language model is. Okay, so an LLM is an AI system that has been trained on a truly staggering amount of text and data. I mean, think a huge chunk of the internet. And by churning through all that info, it doesn't understand language like we do. Instead, it learns the patterns of language, the statistics of how words and sentences and ideas usually fit together. So its main job is just to recognize those patterns and then make a really, really good guess about what word should come next. In a nutshell, you can think of it as a superpowered pattern recognition engine, but for language.
Okay, I know that can still sound a little abstract, so let's use a couple of simple mental models to bring this down to earth. First up, think of ChatGPT as this incredibly powerful engine, but it comes with no steering wheel. The engine can go anywhere, do amazing things, but you have to be the one to steer it with your prompts. In the second model, think of it as a first draft machine. It is absolutely brilliant at getting you off the starting block, but, and this is important, the final call, the editing, the responsibility for the final product, that's always on you. And that idea of steering leads us perfectly into our final, and honestly, maybe the most important section of this entire explainer. We've got the powerful engine. Now let's talk about how you grab the steering wheel and take control. Okay, listen up, because if you get one thing from this, let it be this. The real user interface for ChatGPT is not the little chat box you type in. The real interface is your ability to give it clear, structured directions. This is where so many people go wrong. They type in a vague one-line question, get a boring generic answer back, and just walk away thinking, it's not that great. But the truth is, the quality of what you get out is 100% tied to the quality of the instructions you put in.
A really good prompt gets rid of all the guesswork and tells the AI exactly what you're looking for, and it usually has a few key ingredients. For example, you can give it a role, telling it to act as a professional copywriter. You give it a clear task, like write 3 headlines. You provide some context, like the product is for new homeowners. You can add constraints, like make them less than 10 words each. And finally, you can specify the output format, like give me the answer as a numbered list. And really, that's the bottom line. Getting amazing results from AI isn't about finding some secret magic words. It's not a cheat code. It's simply about getting better at clear, structured communication. Better prompts aren't magic. They're just better instructions. It's as simple as that. So this right here really brings everything we've talked about together. The equation for getting real value from this technology is actually pretty simple. You take the powerful language engine of the LLM, you combine it with your clear steering system, your prompt, and what you get is a high-value first draft. Generative AI is the tool that closes that gap between your idea and the first step. But it's your instructions that decide where you're going to end up. And learning exactly how to craft those powerful instructions, well, that's what we're going to dive into next time.
In part 1, we covered what ChatGPT is. Now, we're going to dive in and unlock its real power. If you've ever felt like the answers you get back from AI are just kind of meh, This is the explainer that's going to change everything for you. We're about to go from just using the tool to using it smartly. Let's get right into it. So you've probably been there, right? You try out ChatGPT, you ask it something, and the answer you get is, well, it's fine. It's a little generic, maybe even boring, and just not what you were hoping for. If that sounds familiar, you are so not alone. It's the most common first impression, but here's the good news. It's actually really easy to fix. And this right here shows you the difference perfectly. Look at that prompt up top. Tell me about ChatGPT. And what do you get? A totally vague, generic wall of text. Now look at the bottom prompt. It's specific, it's detailed. And the result? It's structured, it's helpful, it's something you can actually use. These aren't huge changes. These are small upgrades in how you ask that lead to dramatically better results. So how do we get there? How do we make that jump? Well, the good news is you don't need to learn some complex coding language. It's really just about moving from these vague requests to giving valuable, clear instructions. Let's break down the simple anatomy of what makes a great prompt. Think of it like this. Better prompts are just better instructions. And great instructions are usually built from 4 key parts. First, you've got context. You got to tell the AI who it's supposed to be. Next is the task. What exactly do you want it to do? Then format. How should it give you the answer? A table, a list, maybe a script. And finally, constraints. What are the rules? The tone of voice, the length, things like that. Skipping these is the biggest trap for new users. Without them, the AI is just guessing, and that's why you get those generic answers. Okay, so once you really get the hang of giving clear instructions, you unlock ChatGPT's true potential. It stops being just a chatbot and starts becoming a powerful digital assistant that actually works for you. Let's take a look at how this plays out in a few real-world situations. For students, and let's be super clear, this isn't about cheating. It's about having a powerful learning assistant. Imagine feeding it a super complex concept from one of your textbooks and getting a simple breakdown in plain English. Or you could take all your messy class notes and have it turn them into a clean, organized revision outline. The key here is to use it to understand things better, not to replace your own thinking. Now, for professionals, the biggest win is time. It is a massive time saver. It's amazing at getting over that dreaded blank page problem. You can feed it a long, rambling meeting transcript and ask it to pull out 5 clear action points. Or you can turn a few of your initial ideas into a solid first draft of a proposal. It doesn't replace your expertise. It just hits the fast forward button on the drafting process. And for all you creators out there, it's like having a production engine at your fingertips. You can brainstorm a dozen video ideas from a single topic, get help structuring a script, or even take one long video and have it come up with ideas for 5 different short clips. Look, AI isn't going to replace your creativity, but it can absolutely get rid of the repetitive stuff and get you to a polished starting point way faster. Okay, we've seen all the amazing things it's good at. But now we need to talk about its boundaries, because to use this tool really well, you have to understand what it is not. This is how we go from just being a casual user to a responsible, intelligent one. And this brings us to the single most important rule you need to burn into your brain. Helpful does not mean always correct. ChatGPT is not a human expert. It's not a fact checker. And it is never, ever an excuse to stop thinking for yourself. You have to check any output where accuracy or safety really matters. This limitation radar is a fantastic way to think about where you need to be cautious. It points out issues like hallucinations, which we'll get to in just a sec, but also prompt sensitivity, garbage in, garbage out, plus gaps in recent knowledge, bias from its training data, and of course, privacy. These aren't reasons to not use the tool. They're the reasons why human judgment is still absolutely essential. I want you to remember this phrase. Just let it sink in for a moment. Fluent does not mean factual. Just because an answer sounds confident, just because it's written in perfect English, that does not make it true. This is the key to understanding its biggest limitation. And that brings us to what we call a hallucination. This slide is a perfect example. The AI claims the Eiffel Tower is made of solid titanium. It sounds confident, it sounds plausible, and it's completely wrong. The real danger here isn't just the mistake, it's that it's a persuasive error. It reads like a fact. And that's exactly why you have to verify any specific claim that actually matters. All right, let's talk about privacy and safety. The rule here is incredibly simple. Do use it as a thinking partner and a drafting assistant for general, non-confidential stuff. Do not paste your sensitive personal data, financial details, or your company's secret plans into that prompt box. At the end of the day, you are always responsible for your own data. So, knowing its strengths and its limitations, how do we make the right calls? Well, it's all about using AI with judgment and always choosing the right tool for the right job. One of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing ChatGPT with a search engine. They are totally different tools for totally different jobs. A search engine is a fact engine. You use it to find up-to-date sources and to check claims. ChatGPT is a language engine. You use it to explain ideas, to draft text, and to summarize things. The smartest users use both. And it's also not here to replace all your other software. Think of it more like a new natural language layer that sits on top of the work you're already doing. You can use it to generate the draft that you then paste into your word processor or the summary that you then put into your slide deck. It works with your existing tools, not instead of them. Okay, let's bust a few common myths just to make sure these ideas really stick. Myth number 1, ChatGPT knows everything. The reality? Its answers always need a human review. Myth number 2, if it sounds smart, it must be correct. The reality? Fluent language is not proof of truth. And the biggest myth of all? AI will make human skill obsolete. The reality? Absolutely not. AI accelerates the work, humans provide the judgment. So, to bring this all home, I want to leave you with a simple framework for making smart decisions about when and how to use this tool. We're calling it the Mastery Decision Matrix. And here it is. On the left, you've got the green zone. These are the go cases, perfect for getting a first draft, simplifying a tough concept, or any low-risk language task. On the right, in yellow, that's your slow down zone. This is when you have to slow down and verify everything. We're talking high-stakes facts, confidential data, or any critical decision. The takeaway is simple. Trust the tool to assist you, but always trust your own judgment to verify the final output. So think about your own work. Where could this give you a head start, and where is your judgment truly irreplaceable?